What's up, y'all? We're going to talk about Vicuna Dubbing. So, when I started using this at first, I could not figure out how to use it. I thought it just wasn't right for me. I thought maybe it was only for wet flies, but no, this is a great dry fly dubbing. So this is actually alpaca wool, or like alpaca dubbing. And basically, most of it's all alpaca, and some of it uses an alpaca base with a little bit of other natural materials. The only synthetic material they have is called dry fly dub, but all this is regular Vicuna dubbing. They have over 60 colors, plus a whole bunch of blends. Now, as you see, with these, they don't have the holes in them like a traditional dubbing does. And I like that because a lot of times when you're pulling it out, you end up pulling out too much, or the whole clump will just come out. So basically, it comes in a little box like this. This is if it also comes in bags, but this is if you get, the kit. So as you see, it's a very coarse dubbing. I have learned to use this, and I'm going to show you guys the best way to use it. So let's get to it. So the main thing that I was doing wrong, I was using far too much of this dubbing. Okay, so when you pull some out, you only need a fraction amount of it. That could really be too much. Another thing, I never ever use dubbing wax. But when I tie with this, I use dubbing wax. So I just put a little bit on. You don't have to cake it on there, just a little tiny bit. And you'll notice that there's some longer black fibers in there. You can pull those out if you want. Those are going to stick out. I usually just leave them in there, but for this demonstration, I'll pull them out. And you'll see that the fibers, they kind of have no direction. They're going every which way. But I like to hold it as parallel as I can. Just a tiny little amount. Get your fingers a little bit of saliva. Now, when I put saliva, when I do dubbing, I don't lick my fingers, okay? I run my fingers on the inside of my lip. I just run it down the inside of my lip, my bottom lip. Because the saliva that's there is extra sticky. Okay, I know that sounds disgusting, but it's just a fact. Okay, so you'll notice when you dub this and you go to push it up, you'll notice that it springs up. So what I do, I dub it normally, and you'll notice I'm not at the back of the hook. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more here. I'm just going to leave the black parts in here. So whenever I put the dubbing on, I leave it there, and then I start working my way back to where I'm going to have it. You notice there's a taper there. Then once I'm where I want to be, I start coming up with it. Now we were talking about the black hairs sticking out. See that right there? If you don't want that, cut it out. And that's not just the black. It's the black that's in this blend right here, but there's different hairs in each of them. It's just a little bit of a more coarse hair. Okay? So that's one method. Now, another method you can do, if you can't get it tight enough, again, put your little dubbing wax on there and just really work it on there. It takes a little bit of extra time to work it on there, but what you end up with is a nice buggy body. So what I like to do is make a dubbing loop after you put it on there. And now I'm going to spin this. And what you get is a really tight dubbing noodle. Now compared to what I dubbed on a minute ago, this is much tighter. And of course I'm stacking it right now, so it looks like it's the same thickness. But if you have a look there, it's not. It's definitely much tighter. Okay. Now if you wanted to just do a standard dubbing loop, like this fly right here, you could put whatever you want in there. I'm going to use a brown here. You can just use a standard dubbing loop if you want something really, really buggy, and you can brush it out. So that's plenty right there. Give it a little twist. Now I'm going to grab this. Just give it a light little... Alright, and now I'm just going to wrap it like I would a hackle, and I'm going to preen this back as I go. Now what I like to do is brush everything back here. I'm going to sneak a little whip finish in here. Okay, so now after I get done tying this part, sometimes I like to be able to sweep this back, but I'm not just going to sweep it this way, because then you're going to, all that body under there is going to come with it. So we're just going to sweep it towards the eye, just up here. And what this is doing is picking the dubbing out. And you just moisten your fingers a little bit, pull it back. Now obviously if you want to sweep the body out, the good thing about this stuff is it is extremely buggy, and it is very easy to do so. So yeah, basically when you're using this dubbing, just take your time with it. If you have to put it in a dubbing loop, put it in a dubbing loop. This is about the buggiest dubbing I believe I've ever used, which is a good thing. They have a hare's ear substitute, and it looks just like hare's ear. It's pretty wild, except for it's buggier. So yeah, that's about it for that. Appreciate you guys for stopping in, and I'll catch you on the fly.